You won! You did it!
I'm supposed to go toe-to-toe with their advice.
Oh, I wouldn't do that.
It's a great movie. It's super fun. It gave us all nightmares.
Where'd she come? To the furnace.
This institution's case management needs an ethical review, stat.
On we go.
This is essentially a teen rehabilitation center disguised as a chocolate factory. Wonka, you sick monster!
He's an inhuman monster.
The suspense is terrible. I hope it'll last.
You actually lose the thread of what they're trying to teach you because this is so distracting.
I'm gonna have you face off against the Oompa Loompas to see who gives the best advice.
Do-ba-dee-doo.
Hello and welcome to Cinema Therapy. I'm Alan Seawright, a professional filmmaker who needs therapy.
And I'm Jonathan Decker, a licensed therapist who loves movies. What do you got for me today?
Nothing! You lose!
Today I have for you a request from our patrons. That's right, if you want to make us dance to your tune, you can join our Patreon. And every couple of months they pick an episode and we have to do it. Or we get fired?
Can we get fired?
I don't know.
Sure.
Anyway, we do it.
We're just little monkeys.
So what they wanted you to react to was this. It's a movie from the 1970s called Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Yes! Who doesn't love this, honestly? Gene Wilder, good times.
It's a great movie. It's super fun. It's really weird. It gave us all nightmares. And to add an extra layer of difficulty, instead of just reacting to the movie,
Yeah.
I'm going to have you face off against the Oompa Loompas
This is a Jono versus.
to see who gives the best advice.
You want to punch me too, Brennan? You guys both look like you might want to hit me in the face. Why don't you punch me in the face? Punch me in the f***ing face!
I think it's little orange men who dance and sing.
Why just men? How do they reproduce? These are the questions.
They spring out of a hole in the ground.
My theory is mitosis. They just split in half.
My theory is they're like dwarves. And there's actually women in the Oompa Loompas. They just look like the men.
Okay, here we go.
It's the ants.
How very progressive. Oh my gosh. Who didn't want to, live there as a kid? Sure, you could die. But you die surrounded by chocolate.
Yeah, I just wanted to swim in the chocolate river.
You guzzle down sweet.
Eating as much as an elephant eats.
What are you at? Getting terribly fat.
Little bit of fat shaming
Yeah.
here.
A little fat phobic.
I don't like the look of it.
But also, health conscious.
Sure.
Surprisingly so.
Go far. You will live in happiness too. Like the Oompa Loompa Doompa-dee-doo.
On the surface, they're fixated on bodily appearance and physical health.
Sure, yeah.
Which is a weird thing for employees of a chocolate factory to be fixated on.
Yeah, what? We don't want you to guzzle down sweets?
Then we'll be out of a job.
What, but also, do they have jobs? Are they slaves? Are they enslaved Oompa Loompas?
I see them more as indentured servants.
That's not better.
No, it's not.
The land will be stained with the blood of Rohan! March to Helm's Deep! Leave none alive!
But what's underneath, and this is true for most of the songs, they focus on the actual action or the behavior or the health issue, but what's really going on underneath is the psychological issue. This song is about greed. It's about greed and how greed leads to gluttony, and gluttony we associate with food, but you can be gluttonous in your habits, you can be gluttonous in your spending, you can be gluttonous
I'm a glutton for punishment.
You could take something that is good in moderation and turn it into something unsupportive by just tackling it with reckless abandon. For example, don't hate me, like video games or movies.
Oh, 100%.
I love movies, obviously, but if I literally did nothing but watch movies all day...
Yeah, I love movies and video games. I have used both to the point where it's like, this is not healthy. I'm hurting myself and my life and the people I love.
I think this is good advice, but as is often the case with the Oompa Loompas, you actually lose the thread of what they're trying to teach you because this is so distracting. Yeah.
Hey friends, we are doing a backer kit campaign for a movie that we are making. It is called The Vessel, and it is
an excellent feature-length horror comedy written and filmed by us. We're going to be producing it this fall with your help via the backer kit campaign.
not pictured here. Megan, also co-writer, co-producer, and Jonathan. He's busy being a therapist. On the backer kit campaign, there are many rewards, including sort of your typical movie stuff. You can get a poster, you can get an art book, you can get a Blu-ray, you can get my working script that's gonna have lots of doodles.
And a little bit of self-hatred, but
Probably. There's also
a literal full-length D&D campaign book based on the movie that
Yeah.
I am making that is already mostly done. It's gonna be so sick.
It's excellent. David is so good at this, it is deeply frustrating to me how quickly he put this together. Get those rewards if you want. If you don't want, but you just want to support the film, do that out of the goodness of your tender little heart, and we will love you for it. Anyway, the backer kit. The campaign runs until near the end of September. I don't know the
September
exact date.
10th.
September 10th, 2010th. So be sure to back it before then. You can click the link below. We'll probably put a QR code somewhere around here. It'll be good. Help us make The Vessel. It's going to be incredible, and it will be coming to a theater near you sometime in 2027.
September 27th.
Gum chewing's fine when it's once in a while. It stops you from smoking and brightens your smile. But it's repulsive, revolting, and wrong. Chewing and chewing all day long. The way that a cow does.
Oh my gosh! Hey guys.
Weird peccadillos here.
Manners, you will go far. You will live in happiness too. Like the Oompa Loompa Doompa-Dee-Doo.
Getting with you for this walk-up's the last thing I ever do! I got a blueberry for a daughter.
So this song on the surface of it is about chewing gum. The habit of chewing gum, a little bit here and there, it keeps you from smoking, it's enjoyable, but if you do it all day long, that's gross. But then they get into talking about manners. Because the issue with Violet is that she's rude.
Constantly, all the time.
I chew it all day except at mealtimes when I stick it behind my ear.
Violet.
Cool it, Mother.
The chewing gum is just a symptom of that. And the fact that she just chews gum while she talks to people, it's good advice, but again, they're focused on the wrong thing. Like, the undercurrent is you're being rude, but they never come out and say it.
I'll ask you one more time. Are you sure you didn't eat anything in my factory?
No.
I'm just asking.
What are you calling me a liar?
No, I'm just saying.
Hey, shut up, Wonka.
Right.
Which kids don't do nuance. Hell, adults don't do nuance in today's culture.
Hi, we're on the internet.
And so they need to be more direct. My issue with the Oompa Loompas and with Willy Wonka is that this is essentially a teen rehabilitation center disguised as a chocolate factory. It's like juvenile detention, like everyone's
juvenile rehabilitation clinic disguised as a magical wonderland full of chocolates.
because everyone's there to learn their lesson, but like psychologically, I'm questioning the approaches.
Well, here's the thing. Roald Dahl was
No,
kind
it's-
of a piece of shit. Wrote some great books. Delightful stuff.
Yeah.
Obviously has some weird issues
Yeah.
that he was trying to deal with here.
Well, this is like cognitive behavioral therapy is you sit down and you discuss and you work through what are you trying to achieve with your behaviors.
And are those behaviors actually getting you
Right.
to your goal, right?
In other words, in a smarmy sense, how's that working for you?
Right, yeah.
And Willy Wonka does that a bit, but he teaches children lessons in the most horrific way possible.
He's done! He did it into marshmallows in 5 seconds.
Impossible, my dear lady. That's absurd. Unthinkable.
Why?
Because that pipe doesn't go to the marshmallow room, it goes to the fudge room.
You terrible man.
You don't know until it's over that they all survived.
Right. Especially Veruca Salt. It's like, yeah, she might have gotten burned to death.
Yeah.
We don't know.
There's going to be a lot of garbage today.
So it's all about the approaches which are punitive. It's designed to humble, it's designed to make you reconsider. But what's actually going to happen with children and teenagers if you go full punitive is they're going to retaliate because they feel attacked, because they are being attacked.
Yeah.
This is a war zone. Them actually learning the lesson versus them suing you for child abuse.
Give me that pen. You're always making things difficult.
I would do cognitive behavioral therapy on Wonka and his Oompa Loompas of, guys, what are you trying to accomplish here? The points you're trying to make are valid, but your approaches are unethical and horrifying.
Okay, so that's an interesting question. What would you do to treat Blueberry Face?
First of all, behaviorally, it'd be healthy replacements, okay? So you're chewing gum all day, every day. Why? What are you getting out of that? And what's something you could do that's healthy that could replace that? I would give her a limit for how long she can chew gum every day.
Sure.
And when. As far as the rudeness and the entitlement is concerned, there would be a lot of depriving. And by depriving, I don't mean basic needs. I mean, everything that you get that's not a basic need is a privilege, and the privilege is tied to a behavior and your attitude. And she doesn't get the things she wants unless she shows up humble, gracious, grateful, and willing to contribute.
Yeah.
In time, she'll start to appreciate, oh, everything in my life that's not a basic necessity is a privilege, not a right. And it's tied to how I show up for others.
Where did it lead to? To the furnace?
Furnace.
She'd be sizzled like a sausage. Well, not necessarily. She could be stuck just inside the tube.
Inside the... Hold on! Veruca! Sweetheart! Daddy's coming!
Oh, gosh. I'm convinced Willy Wonka is the inspiration for Jigsaw. Torture people into learning moral lessons, like being grateful.
You are wise to listen to.
Oh, dear.
Okay, Oompas, what do you got?
Play when your kid is a rat, pampered and spoiled like a Siamese cat. Blaming the kids is a lie and a shame. You know exactly who's to blame. The mother and the father.
Man, these effects, I need a Dramamine or something.
The best of 1971.
You will live in happiness too. Like the Oompa Loompa Loompa-dee-doo.
Let's talk about parental causality versus parental correlation.
Okay, interesting.
Because children are autonomous beings, especially the older they grow, the more responsible for themselves they are. So it's not a one-to-one, how the parent parents is how the child turns out. There's a lot of...
And there's also, I mean, kids come pre-packaged with different software. You know how I know? I parented my two boys the exact same, and they are not the same.
Yeah, it's also true that the structure and the balance between affection and consequences and love and discipline that parents offer helps steer that ship.
For sure.
And so we know who's to blame, the mother and the father. Kind of.
I mean, in this case,
we
know for sure.
Well, and it is true that if you just spoil a child and give them everything that they want and let them boss you around and disrespect you, and you don't hold them accountable for their behavior, you don't provide structure, you don't provide consequences, that you will inevitably get a child who is spoiled, self-absorbed, and rude.
Yeah.
Because children are young with immature brains that are still developing, and they all start with the baseline of what I want. When a baby is a baby, it's like, I need to be changed, I need to be fed, I need a nap. I. Learning selflessness is something that is taught and observed.
Yeah.
They need to see it. Self-denial isn't something that babies come prepackaged with.
No. You know about the marshmallow test, right?
Yes.
You put like a 5-year-old or whatever in a room with a marshmallow and you say, if you don't eat it, you get 2 in 10 minutes. That's a determiner of like how much self-denial a person has, which has long-term consequences in terms of like how far you're going to be able to go in a career and all of these other things, right?
Yeah.
Some of that is inherent, but I personally believe that most of that is taught.
Yeah.
But also self-denial is prefrontal cortex stuff.
Yeah.
And that doesn't develop fully until your 20s.
No.
Like the ability to see outside yourself and recognize that other people are like independent, autonomous people that have thoughts and feelings the same as you, that doesn't even physically develop in your brain until like your early teens.
Yeah.
It is physically impossible for an 8-year-old to be like, oh yeah, that person is an autonomous entity. Like they cannot comprehend it. It's not in there.
Yeah, and not to push back, you're mostly right. It won't happen naturally. The needle you have to thread as a parent is honoring both the fact that a child is responsible for themselves and you have to teach them that they're responsible for their own behavior, their own choices, that they can't blame you. At the same time, you have to approach it like it is all on me as a parent to help them get there, to help them recognize moral, ethical, compassionate decision making.
It's no one else's responsibility to teach that.
Yeah.
So if it doesn't get taught, it is your fault.
As their brains develop, there has to be a framework and a schema for them to develop into, and that's what you provide as a parent. So
Sure.
I think the Oompa Loompas are mostly right. Like, it's on the mother and the father to teach the child responsibility so that the child can own it and not have it be on the parents. The only way your child is responsible for their behavior is if you teach them how. At that point, you could take a step back and be like, no, you're old enough, you're of age, this is on you.
But as we've already stated, the Oompa Loompas don't have any females, can't have sex, and therefore can't procreate. They kind of just spring into existence like fully formed, which means what the do they know about parenting? I'm more assuming that they're like the Uruk-hai, where there's just a room in the thing and they're like buried in mud and covered in plastic wrap and they just pull it off, except the mud is chocolate.
Okay, that's my new headcanon. The way, like, predatory
No,
big
they're
cats,
orange. They're pulled up out of the ground like carrots. That's how they're born.
like the screaming mandrakes in Harry
Yes.
Potter. I like the Uruk-hai, but I think, like, jungle cats have evolved over time to domesticated house cats. I think the Oompa Loompas are Uruk-hai, like 2,000 years later. And they've just become
That's
little
what
sissy,
happened to the orcs after Middle Earth.
little sissy orcs they became.
Wow. Wowie, wow, 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 wow.
They're little, look at the balls on their feet.
Oompa Loompa Doompa-dee-doo. I've got another puzzle
The
for you.
choreography for the Oompa Loompas is
Oompa Doompa-da-dee.
somehow the worst and best choreography ever.
What do you get from a glut of TV?
A pain in the neck and an IQ of 3. Why don't you try simply reading a book? Or could you just not bear to look? You'll get no.
Remember when TV was the boogeyman and it was going to make us all stupid? And then it was video games, and then it was YouTube, and now it's TikTok, but there's actual evidence that TikTok actually does it.
You will go far. You will.
Well, there's evidence for the others, but TikTok is far worse because everything is 60 seconds or less.
Hyper addictive, too.
Oompa Loompa Oompa-dee-doo.
Like with TV and video games, it's more about the imbalance than the thing in and of itself. It's that people weren't going outside. It's that people weren't reading books. It's that people weren't playing sports. Like, that was the real issue, not like the TV itself. But yeah, no, TikTok is Satan.
Don't listen to that sissy. Grab a beer and watch the game. Yeah, that sounds good. Oh my God!
I mean, we're on TikTok.
We're on TikTok. We make vertical videos because we have to. Because F you, algorithm. Anyway, follow us on TikTok.
And hail Satan.
If you don't want to be trapped by the algorithm, subscribe to our channel and then go to the subscription feed. Don't let the AI tell you what to watch. Choose it yourself.
And click the bell and select all to get notified every week of our new episodes. You're missing good stuff. You're leaving cinema therapy on the floor. You don't want that.
Nobody puts cinema therapy in a corner.
Oh my gosh.
Now get your fat ass over to Joe's. Look, buddy, No! All right, just take it easy. Just take it easy, man. Everything's cool.
Again, there's the behavior and then there's the actual psychology beneath the behavior.
Yeah,
The psychology.
Roald Dahl hates kids who watch TV, but what he's really talking about is...
He hates kids.
He hates children.
What he's really talking about is compulsive behavior. And television isn't technically an addiction. We overuse that word about things that are actually compulsions.
Sure.
But the compulsion is, I don't need to think, I don't need to plan, I don't need to get exercise, I don't need to have a balanced life because I can just sit in front of the idiot box and let it dazzle me until bedtime. And again, we love movies, we love TV, we've got no issue with any of that here, but it's all about a balanced life. It all ties back to the main issue that all of these children have, which is instant gratification and getting whatever they want whenever they want.
Wait till I get a real one. Colt 45. Pop won't let me have one yet, will you, Pop? Not till you're 12, son.
It's not how the world works. And it leads to something that will absolutely damage and destroy your relationships, romantic, familial, or professional, which is self-centeredness.
Hey, Mom, we're on TV. Hi, everybody in Marble Falls. Hi, Billy. Hi, Maggie. Hi, Fishface. How do I look?
And you all exist to serve my whims and my needs. And if you don't, I'm going to lash out at you.
19,000 bars an hour they're shelling. 760,000 they've done so far.
You promised, Daddy. You promised I'd have it the very first day.
It's different behaviors, but it's all the same thing with all of these kids.
Yeah.
They've all been given exactly what they want, and it's destroying them. It's crippling them, and it's not preparing them for life. It's not giving them resilience. It's not helping them to understand what it is to get outside of themselves and to give for another person. So again, I really think Willy Wonka is the prototype for Jigsaw because he's a horrific horror movie villain who's teaching moral lessons.
He's not wrong.
I want to play a game. Here's what happens if you lose.
Mike! Where are you?
I would say it's not a good idea to try and torture people into change.
Oh, really?
I want it now.
That's my intelligent quote. Put that in the trailer.
How about new?
Assuming you'd love to watch a Wonka episode where Wonka is more whimsical and less murdery, you can check that out right here for the new Wonka.
The Timmy Chalamet version.
The Paddington version.
Well, speaking of traumatizing children into being good, let's see how that works with a kid who already is good.
Okay.
It's all there, black and white, clear as crystal. You stole fizzy lifting drinks. You bumped into the ceiling, which now has to be washed and sterilized, so you get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir. You're a crook.
Gosh.
Absolutely enraged, etc., etc. You get nothing, you lose. Is about 2/3 of my parenting.
Dreams to pieces. You're an inhuman monster. I said good day.
Well,
come on, Charlie.
I don't know how they figured out Gene Wilder's hair for that, but like,
Charlie
it's the
learning.
world's craziest hair.
Yeah, it is.
Wentworth wants a gobstopper. He'll get one.
Charlie learning a valuable lesson in legalese. But also,
why is everything in his office cut in half?
Because he's psychotic and a sadist.
Oh, okay.
It represents his fractured psyche. Seriously, it's the most murderous
Mr.
thing.
Wonka?
But Charlie practices integrity.
Good deed in a weary world. Charlie. My boy. You won! You did it! You did it! I knew you would! I just knew you would! Oh, Charlie.
That
Forgive
was
me.
the final test, you
Please.
terrible monster.
Yeah, is this a good way to encourage good behavior?
He works for me.
For you?
I had to test you, Charlie, and you passed the test. You won! What? The jack.
You know,
test kids?
no, but you know that guy knows where the bodies are buried. Look at
Oh
him.
yeah, he buried most of the body.
That's just the beginning. We have to get on. We have to get on. We have so much time and so little to do. Strike that. Reverse it.
Okay. Again, you're watching this as a kid and it makes sense. Like, oh, good. It was all a test. He passed the test.
Yay!
And he did
this makes perfect sense.
And he did the right thing. And he was a good boy. So now he gets the chocolate factory.
Hooray!
I watched this as an adult and I'm like, Wonka, you sick monster.
Grandpa Joe is completely right. He's an inhuman monster.
And you can tell by everything sliced in half in his office. What's that all about? What do you think that's about? I want to hear your theories, actually. What's with everything sliced in half in this man's office? That said, if we're focused on Charlie and not Wonka, I do love that even in the face of disappointment, even in the face of, I don't think that's really fair that you're basing all of this on the fine print and legalese and you got my hopes up and crushed my dreams. Charlie is centered on, I know who I was raised to be. He was raised by these bedridden hypochondriacs to do right, to act with integrity. And when we talk about nature versus nurture, to your point earlier, naturally, we don't engage in perspective taking until our 20s, until our brains are developed.
Right.
But through nurture, we can learn that skill earlier.
Yes.
And Charlie here sees a broken, sad, I would say old man, except for I'm pretty sure Gene Wilder's younger.
I think Gene Wilder was like 28 or something.
Gosh dang it. But he sees somebody who is sad. And he decides, you know what, no matter how unfair and cruel this person is, I'm going to keep my side of the street clean. I'm going to clean up my own mess. I'm going to be accountable for my own behavior. And I'm going to show integrity and compassion. Charlie doesn't do this so that this turn will happen and he can get the factory. He's not doing this thinking this is the only way to win. He's thinking this is the right thing to do.
Yeah,
which is
there's no clue anywhere that anything good is going to happen. He's already lost. He's not getting the chocolate. There was never a hint that he's going to get a chocolate factory out of it.
Frankly, he was lucky to make it out of there alive.
Yeah. House of Horrors. Everyone else died.
Nobody ever goes in. Nobody ever comes out.
But he does the right thing, and that can be taught, and that's the great lesson of Willy Wonka. It was Grandpa Joe and Charlie's parents who taught him this, and they did it from bed. Imagine what you can do, you know, if you actually get out of bed and parent. I mean, this was me versus the Oompa Loompas, but it's also me versus Wonka. Like, they're all part of the same treatment
horrible
team. Listen,
it's a clinician and his assistants. Yeah.
This institution's case management needs an ethical review, stat. I agree with the lessons they're trying to learn. There is no real world equivalent to this for me to say anything other than I disagree with their methods. And I think they need to be more clear in their messaging. So, yeah, going toe to toe, they're like a 5 out of 10. Probably less for the torture, but no, we're going to land on a solid 5 out of 10.
They were at least relatively effective.
Right? The ends justify the means.
The ends don't justify the means, but the ends were good.
Yeah.
So 5 out of 10?
Some of the most horrifying therapeutic approaches in history were based on that notion that the ends justify the means.
Sure.
And so I would counter that. You have to practice ethically. You have to help people ethically. And you will only have long-term gain if you practice ethically.
Yeah.
You may have short-term behavioral change because people are terrified.
Sure, yeah.
But people don't change who they are through force. They're loved into changing. They are seen and understood into changing. And they are given structure that helps them to change.
Right.
So this was fun, though.
This was great.
Oh, my gosh.
I love this. Again, sign up for our Patreon and you can make us do stuff like this. And sometimes we'll learn and grow. And sometimes we'll get trapped in a chocolate death factory.
Oh my gosh.
And murdered. So until next time.
Stop, don't, come back.
Ipsum lorem factum totem, etc., etc. You lose, sir. You get nothing.
And watch movies. That was perfect. Your hair even.
My hair did a thing. We want to thank our patrons who A, picked this episode, B, get to watch it early, and C, they get to watch it without ads, and it's an extended director's cut. It's going to be awesome. You can be just like them if you join our Patreon. People with names like these names.
Call me Jenny.
Julu Jinxed.
Eden Corey.
Irina Sadovnikova.
I got the easy one, Alice Farr. Thanks, patrons. We love you.